Is it possible that the Denver Nuggets could acquire superstar, one of the all-time great young players, Luka Doncic, at some point in time or the next couple of seasons? Now, if you saw the All-Star break at all, everybody saw the bromance that has been in the works for a number of years. Could that accentuate it in Denver? This is your boy Swipa. That's Ryan. We're here to talk about what everybody else saw. Jokic and Luka, hey, they had some magic that was cooking. This is going to be one of the storylines of the next couple of offseason. It's just a possibility, Ryan, especially right now. The Dallas Mavericks are the 7th seed. They didn't make the playoff last year. What if they don't make the playoff this year? If that ship doesn't turn around, do you think, as Nikola Jokic said, if he got mad at the Dallas Mavericks, do you think this could be a potential opportunity for Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic to pair up in Denver, Colorado?
Well, I think it's something that if you're Denver, you got to explore every possibility, right? Like if you have an opportunity to get one of the wonderkins of the NBA, like who is comparable to Michael Jordan and LeBron James in a lot of ways, just the way that he was as good as he was from a young age, carrying the burden that he carries for Dallas every single day. Like he is so good. And like he's been in the MVP conversation, or at least on the fringes of the MVP conversation for year after year after year. Been to a Western Conference Finals, gone head to head with the Clippers in the bubble, and then with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George in multiple series, and then actually outmatched Devin Booker and Chris Paul in them in one of those series as well. So he's been playoff tested. He's one of those guys that you know what you're getting in the toughest environments possible. He's going to raise his level to new heights, just like Nikola Jokic does every single time. So that pairing would be sick. The pick and roll would be sick. They could stagger their minutes, and that would be sick too. So there's a lot of ways that duo would work extremely, extremely well. And it's something that obviously, if you're Denver, if it's a possibility, you got to think about it, right?
Well, yeah, and then on top of that, it's not like Luka would be like, yeah, trade me somewhere, Cleveland, Chicago. We say trade me to Denver. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not going anywhere else. You're not gonna have an easy time trading me. It's gonna be ugly. Trade me to Denver. That's kind of how the NBA works. Dame, he was the last time you heard somebody where they demanded a trade and didn't get to their destination. Anthony Davis got to a destination. Giannis has now blown up that roster twice. The first time for Drew Holiday, the second time for Damian Lillard. So for me, it's like everybody's concerned about like you look at ball dominant style and stuff. It's like they're two of the 4 best players in the league. It don't matter. They gonna figure it out. It's really just that simple. And I think some of this is too because they're such great friends. It's like Jokic already doesn't care about like the limelight and the spotlight like that. That's just not how he works. And Luka might like some of it, but I know for the sake of winning a championship, bro, throw some defenders, couple shooters around him. Oh, lights out. Like, let alone the pick and roll, the cut throughs, the DHO handoffs and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm telling you, man, it wouldn't be like Steph Curry level, maybe like at his apex when Steph was like, 40% from 3 on 12 attempts a game or something like that in 2015-16. But Luka's incredible, man. It'll be even a better version, you could say, than James Harden. So, and then to have that big of a wing, like a guard wing that you could use to get downhill, get to the rim and create advantages for them, man. Like, I think it would be incredible. I very much doubt it happens, but I think it's fun to think about.
The other thing is you just don't need perfect spacing or athleticism or playmaking around them. You don't need all those things. They'll be able to make it work with the mix that you get, and you got to add, okay, here's the right guy here, the right skill set here. You got to try to finesse it and make it work at least a little bit. But for the most part, those guys are as adaptable and as willing to kind of augment what's around them as anybody in the league. They will make it work. They'll do what they can with what they have. And like, I can only imagine what it would be like to go to war with those guys, because that you've got 2 of the most talented dudes.
Neither one is a playoff dropper.
Oh my God. Like, it would be awesome. So it's really cool and really fun to think about. What I will say is that, like, I don't think a Jokic, Luka, Murray trio would work. I don't think that that's like, even if they could make it happen from a logistical perspective, I think that that would be really difficult for Denver to make work just because you don't have enough guys that are willing to really like lock in on the defensive end. And I think that Murray would be it would be pretty tough for him to kind of cede the limelight to a guy like Luka and just basically have your role being taken in that situation. So it would just not surprise me. Like if something like this were to happen, it would mean exchanging Luka for Murray, which for a lot of people that's fine. But it's also one of those things where, man, it would change the Nuggets. It would change them up entirely.
The whole era. I mean, Jamal Murray, Michael Malone, and Nikola Jokic are synonymous with each other.
Yeah.
Jamal got here 2016. Like, he's grown up here. We've seen all the iterations of Jamal. I think like that would be really tough. And, personally, that would be really tough. I know, especially just what Jamal means to the city and what he means to the media, what he means to the organization. And
8 years.
So,
man.
but yeah, but then that's basketball. Like, that's the business. Like, the business is about improving. And again, if you're telling me that the Nuggets could look at this and say, okay, we get the prime for both these players. And on top of that, like, we know they want to play together, and then we get a chance to add supplemental pieces to that. I mean, I think they would consider it for sure. I don't see it happening. The way they would have to kind of gut that, at least that point guard spot, and some of the maybe Christian Brown or Peyton Watson or who knows. But you don't want to give all that up. And I think the Nuggets are like, well, we can win a championship this year again, and maybe in the future as well, what we have. So why would we want to trade for Luka? So I don't think it happens. But again, fun to think about.
Well, it's still fun to think about. And I'm just going through and thinking about what different configurations Denver could really put around those guys. Adding Michael Porter as a third or like a third option spacer would be great. That would be ideal. But I think you probably got to give him up too from a salary perspective, because having two supermaxes and then Michael Porter and then Aaron Gordon on top of that would be pretty tough. So I think what you're probably looking at is Jokic, Luka, and Aaron Gordon as your three big salaries, and then kind of piecing it together around those guys with different starters, different role players, different guys. So I honestly think that, like, even if you just had Jokic, Luka, Gordon as your top three, I think Denver could still win 60 games. Like, they're still crushing the league in a lot of ways. Now, it may not be 65 games or 66 games the way that the Heatles would play or the KD Warriors would play, but I do think that they would be killing the league in a lot of different ways, even in the regular season, because those guys, like, they care. They'll go out every single time and they'll try to win.
Well, Luka's conceding the MVP conversation every year because he's never winning it as long as he's playing with Joker. Joker is probably going to have 3 by that point. So Joker's like, I didn't really want one, but, I got 3 of them now. Luka is basically, you're coming to my team. You're going to have the Kevin Durant thing on. Like, no matter how good you are, they're going to say, well, you're playing next to the best player in the world. So what are we supposed to do about that?
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Would the Nuggets with Jokic and Luka be as hated as the KD Warriors or the LeBron Heat? Would they be as hated?
No.
Why not?
No way. No, because Steph commands the biggest fan base, maybe in the NBA outside of LeBron, maybe more than LeBron. And the way people were forcing Steph in the conference, not forcing. Steph was never the best player in the world. I love him. I think Steph's incredible. He was never better than LeBron. He had better regular seasons, but we saw 2015-16, as soon as you got in the playoff, Steph couldn't keep that kind of performance up. Small guard got hurt, nicked up. All of a sudden, LeBron, 15-16 regular season and playoffs, like, so I think, man, like, no, because Kevin Durant and Steph carry a different thing. And that, again, they had won, but they were won 73 games. Steph made 402 threes. Jokic just doesn't have that kind of like visceral reaction where people are like, oh, Luka and Jokic. And I think people too, like, they're both Balkan, like one Slovenian, one Serbian. It just makes like ethnic sense to some degree, like they're brothers and like they rely on each other. Like, I just don't think they have the same vitriol, because I think it's just a different scenario. But I think it would make the league predictable.
This, though, like the 2 best white boys that we've ever seen in this league so far, like, could that have
outside
some
of Larry
ramification? I mean, other than Larry, yeah. Could that have some ramifications? Like, you got those.
Well, as long as the ESPN doesn't put up the Duke Blue Devils, the Brotherhood underneath their little underneath their little poster. I think we should be fine.
Oh my God, it would be
the breaks, however they phrase that. Just stay away from brotherhood, brate, whatever.
Oh, there are so many jokes. It'd be crazy, man. But like, I mean, I asked that because this is a super team. Putting Jokic and Luka together is a super team. That's what it is.
Jokic is going to have to play next to an All NBA player at some point. Even Kawhi got it.
Yeah, but like
even Tim Duncan got it.
There's a difference between an All NBA player and Luka Doncic. Like that dude is.
Well, can he have one? Can he get one? Is my question.
I think you look. You don't necessarily have to have it all. Like that's
who doesn't. Not, even Giannis had 2 All-Stars on this roster.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not until Murray fails. Until
no, you're right. I'm not. There's no diss at Murray. But I'm saying also, too, like, this is also going to be the conversation. Jokic has not had an opportunity to play next to a number 2, and especially in a regular season setting, that's on the same par as, like, some of these other players. All the other all-time great players in this era, they all had it. Every single one of them.
So, I mean, then Denver's going to have to, like, go out and acquire somebody like that. They've tried to build up the continuity, and they've got the guys that they have, and they've been winning with the guys that they have. So,
well, I still think Jamal can get there. So, it's just, he got hurt this year.
All right, let me ask you this, and this is one thing to wrap it up. If Nuggets fans could choose 5 championships for Jokic by adding Luka to the equation, or you have 3 championships with this current homegrown core, what should they want? What should they pick?
Well, I mean, 5 championships, 5 championships. So by that point, Jokic is in the GOAT conversation right next to Kareem and the rest of them. So, I mean, 3 more championships or 3 period?
So you get 5 total by adding Luka to Jokic, or you get 3 kind of natural, kind of homegrown championships where you've got your guys, your team.
I mean, for the narrative, Joker, like, and Jamal Murray, like, they got 3 championships together would be amazing. But
you could say that he had more than Steph that way. You could say that he had more than LeBron that way, where LeBron kind of went around and going to different teams. He didn't do it with the same team the entire time. Like it's a little bit different, I think.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would love to see Jamal be a 3-time NBA champion. That just sounds like the story. Like, I love, like, we literally have grown up with Jamal and watching Jamal. So I think having that story trumps everything. I think for everybody in Denver. I think for most people in Denver, at least. I think, Jamal has some people that don't love him as much just because he's oscillates in the regular season, but whatever.
It's just a fascinating thing to think about, because I do think that if you pair Jokic and Luka, you have an easy track to at least a Final Four appearance pretty much every single year. Like every single time you'd be in a really great position to win a championship. And those guys, as long as they're playing hard and they're playing together and they like each other, you'd have a really good and easy road. It's harder with your homegrown group, but it might mean more in the end.
Yeah, well, until what's the dude from Colorado's is coming out in the draft next year?
Cooper Flagg?
No, Colorado, not
Cody Williams.
Yeah, until Cody somehow drops because of a red look on his chart or whatever else, the Nuggets swap him at 30 overall. Hey, you know what?
Man, that would be dope. That'd be exactly what you need if you're Denver, man. That would be.
But y'all, that's it. What do y'all think? Do y'all think that the Denver Nuggets at some point in time should try to acquire Luka Doncic? Or are you of the mindset of me and Ryan? Let's see if they get 3 rings with the homegrown talent with Jamal, MPJ, and Jokic, obviously with Gordon. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section. This is Mile High Sports. See y'all later.